Hey guys, Sneaky Snake here, Brothers in Arms, World of Warships, and today's video we're going to take a look at a game that I had here in the Baltimore, the Tier 9 American Heavy Cruiser. I'm divisioned up with my buddy Elastic Spider. He's playing in the Tier 9 Japanese destroyer, the Yagumo, and we're playing some standard battle here on the map, Tears of the Desert. So it has also come to my attention that you guys want to see our captain skills, our equipment, and whatnot, so I'm also going to mention that right now as well. For my captain skills, I run Priority Target, Expert Marksman, Adrenaline Rush, Superintendent, Advanced Firing Training, and Concealment Expert. And for my equipment, I run Main Armaments Modification 1, Anti-Aircraft Gun Modification 2, Main Armaments Modification 3, Damage Control Modification 1, Steering Gears Modification 2, and Concealment Systems Modification 1. So, the Baltimore here in World of Warships, what exactly do you need to know about it? Well, a few patches ago, this ship was finally given some serious love, and it used to be one of the worst ships tier for tier in the game, and that is quite a bold statement to make, but let me just tell you why. It only has a range of 15.8 kilometers without the range mod, which I do not run, and I will get into in a little bit. So the range is rather short for a Tier 9 cruiser. Then you have to consider that the ship used to have a reload of about 13 to 14 seconds, and that was with the enhanced reload, so this thing had very horrendous DPM. The gun performance also suffers because of the drag on the shells. These are the same guns that you have on the Des Moines at Tier 10. I'm sure plenty of you are aware that those shells take forever to get through the air. So you basically had this trifecta of doom where you're not effective at long range due to your very poor shell performance, and then you're not effective at close range either because of your very poor DPM. So it was a ship that really and truly defined the support cruiser role. But honestly, there were other cruisers that were better at being that support role cruiser, at least at closer ranges. But now the ship is, with the addition of an enhanced reload, is all of a sudden one of the best, if not the best, Tier 9 cruiser. And I know that we don't make too many bold claims here on our channel, but just looking at it from a statistical standpoint, this ship, I have enjoyed every second in it with the reload. So the base reload now goes down to 10 seconds when you get the upgraded guns. And then, of course, with Main Armaments Modification 3, you get that reload down to 8.8 seconds. And then, of course, toss on Adrenaline Rush. And when you're at less than half health, you're going to get a reload that's lower than 8 seconds. So this thing all of a sudden has turned into a nightmare at point-blank range. And the big reason why is, of course, that American AP shells are very good. They do 5,000 damage on a Citadel. But the main thing about them is that while every other cruiser branch has auto ricochet angles at 60 degrees or greater, this thing can go to 67.5. So you can get some Citadels and some solid AP damage at angles that other cruisers would, well, quite frankly, just bounce at. And it's something that makes this thing at close ranges so difficult to deal with. And I know a lot of people might have their pitchforks out and be like, oh, nah, you can just deal with it with torpedoes at close range or whatever. Yeah, good luck going broadside before you're dead. Now, at least, with the very good reload. And when you consider that the ship has always had good other stats, i.e. very powerful AA, the steering gears mod makes this thing turn on a dime better than any other Tier 9 cruiser. It has great concealment at 9.7 kilometers. Hell, even the armor is pretty good. You're going to see it stand up to some 16-inch shells here as well. And all of a sudden, you'll see exactly why I think this ship is insanely powerful now with the very, very good reload. Anyway, here at the beginning of the game, my buddy Spider was a nice guy and popped some smoke for me. I'm only 12.5 kilometers away from that Freddy, but I am having a bit of a difficult time judging his speed. As you can see, that my accuracy has been a little bit poor here at the beginning of the game. And then a Yagumo pops up, and of course, since it's a destroyer, I am immediately going to change my target to that guy and get some good shots into him. Now, the American high explosive shells aren't the best performing either. They only have a 14% fire chance base. But you know what? With this rate of fire, it doesn't really matter. You're still going to be able to do pretty good damage on targets that are giving you broadside like that destroyer. And there we go, back-to-back salvos, and I was able to do a very healthy chunk of damage to him. And then unfortunately, my buddy Spider took like an 11k salvo or something from stern to bow from one of those battleships. So unfortunately for him, he is already dead. And yeah, now it's just myself, at least from our division over here, and right there. You can see those shells hitting right underneath the turret, right into the side of the Baltimore, but because I was angled well, I only took about 16,000 damage, and I'm going to be able to repair a very healthy chunk of that. So, yeah, right there, that armor coming in handy. Something like a Donskoy, I think I would have been Citadel there. Something like an Ibuki, I think I would have been Citadel there. But of course, the Baltimore is one tough enough to crack. So now I'm just going to kite away very slowly and continue to spam the high explosive. Now, I know you haven't seen any of the armor piercing yet. Don't worry, there will be some armor piercing shells going down range a little bit later in the game. So at this point, there's no reason for me to turn back in. Now, one of the weaknesses of the American heavy cruisers and American ships in general is that the stern section is usually very poorly protected. So going away at an angle like this is not ideal. You really do want to be more bow in. I found out the hard way my very first game, taking like a 20k Citadel from an Alabama. But nonetheless, at this point, I really do feel like I do have to kite away. But I'm not going away at full speed, so I can still keep those ships within my range. Now, something else to note, a lot of people hate the high-tier meta, where cruisers seem to suffer the most, at least according to people on Reddit and the forums or whatever. And certainly, this map in particular is known as Tiers of the Cruisers because, well, it's very, very wide open. Very long range map, and a lot of people just figure that cruisers suck on this map. Well, yes and no. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say you can't play a cruiser on this map because this is going to be one nice performance that you're going to see. But I think people, they don't understand how cruisers are supposed to work on the big open maps at the high tiers because, well, they just don't know how to play them properly. And if I ruffled some jimmies there, well, so be it. Because cruisers, in my opinion, apart from aircraft carriers, because that's a whole different story, of the three main surface ships, I think cruisers take the most skill to do good in, because they're the jack of all trades, but they're the masters at none. And, you know, you're supposed to help out the battleships by burning down BBs. You're also supposed to take care of destroyers, especially this thing that has radar, and also provide AA for your team. So I think it takes the most skill to have really monster games in your cruisers. But that's why I'm a cruiser main, and that's why I really enjoy playing these things, because it's so satisfying. That's what I'm trying to get at. When you have a really good game in this. Really quickly, other things about the Baltimore that you need to know. This ship, at least on a statistical standpoint, is the worst Tier 9, so there's also a lot of people that get up here, and at least back in the day when it didn't have the good reload, it doesn't really prepare you, or it didn't really prepare you all that good for the Des Moines, excuse me, because of the terrible reload. And then all of a sudden you get to the Des Moines and you have this ridiculous rate of fire, and you're sitting there like, wow, I've never had this. And then you want to get in close, and then that's where a lot of Des Moines get absolutely wrecked. Although they should be in close. What I'm getting at is that they're not used to the rate of fire, so they think they're invincible or something like that. But now this Baltimore, at least with the rate of fire, it actually gets you prepared a lot better for that ship, in my opinion. Anyway, at this point, it's 490 to 330. Getting some long-range shots here, at least for the Baltimore, 14.4 kilometers at the Friedrich de Grosse. And you can see that I am getting some nice high explosive damage done to that German battleship. That's one ship, or one ship class, I should say, German BBs as a whole, that you're able to do really good high explosive damage to, simply because those superstructures, I don't know what they're made of, but they just really take lots of high explosive damage. You will get a few shells that don't penetrate, of course, but you're able to do very, very solid amounts of damage. And you can also see here that I'm down to about 2/3 health, and my reload is down to 8 seconds, so that's very, very good stuff. And it just makes this thing so much more deadly. I never did play this ship, even on any test server, before it was buffed. Well, no, excuse me, I played one game in it with the bad reload, and yeah, I was not impressed. I still did well, but I decided to wait and fully upgrade this thing with free XP before I decided to take it out for a spin, and I gotta say that it is so much fun. Get another fire there on the Freddy. He continues to burn. I'm up to 67,000 points of damage, which, for a Baltimore that had the crappy reload back in the day, this would be a pretty darn good game damage-wise. I'm not joking you. Cruisers like the Rune, the Dmitry Donskoy, those are the damage farmers. The San Luis, now that's been added to the game, those were and are the damage farming cruisers, but I promise you, this thing, if you can get in close, it is so satisfying. More shells flying in at the Montana, and I get the sexy kill steal right there, 66 hit points for my first ship destroyed of the game, that Tier 10 American battleship, 70,000 points of damage, and 7 planes shot down. So very good stuff. Now I'm getting my next defensive AA up, as there were torpedo planes and fighter planes that are over there. And you can see my AA is going to work. It's not as good as the Dmitry Donskoy fully upgraded, but it is still very potent. And of course, with the defensive fire, you can get some pretty scary DPS on your AA suite. So I'm up to 10 planes now, and I finally go undetected yet again. So far up here at this part of the map, I lost my division mate really early, and I lost my smokes really early as well. So I had to play very passively, and basically, in a cruiser, you want to be dealing so much damage that you can while not being the guy getting targeted. And I did get shot at a few times, but then when both of those Yamatos moved up, they certainly took the brunt of the enemy's attack, and I was able to still stay within range and get long-range shots down at those ships that were coming in, and that's important. If you can do that in any type of cruiser, you're going to be golden. More dive bombers are coming in. Unfortunately, the shimmy that was over there managed to delete our friendly Yamato over there, one of them anyway. Looks like those Zao torpedoes, they're moving so fast, and I'm not in position to go get that guy. We do have a Shimikaze to my left, but he's only on 1,000 hit points, so he's definitely not going to want to go over there and try and spot, because he's probably going to die. So at this point, we're still in a bit of a precarious situation here. It's 448 to 365 now. However, you can see that the enemy Essex was last spotted in Alpha 7 trying to turn back to port, but since carriers have terrible turning radiuses, at least, or radii, I should say, yeah, he's probably ran aground or is backing up or something, so I am certainly going to go after that guy. This is something that whenever a carrier, you can find one out of position, you really do have to take advantage of it. But the Shimikaze does get spotted by the friendly fighters, and I managed to land a solid 2,600 point salvo into him. Now I see the Essex, and I'm going to immediately turn my attention away. Now, is this a good play? Probably not. But carriers are like Artie in World of Tanks. You see one, you absolutely have to shoot at him. I probably could have popped my radar right here to help out the friendly Ibuki, since that shimmy is definitely within range of it, but I was so worried about taking care of the carrier that I didn't even think about it. So yeah, this is probably not a good play, but again, it's a carrier, and it's so satisfying to get those things killed because it really does help your team out a lot more than one might think, especially at the higher tiers when these things have hundreds of planes, or 100 at least. I do manage to pop my defensive AA again, and I shot down quite a few torpedo planes, as well as some fighters that are mingling around overhead, and now dive bombers are coming in as well. Excuse me, I didn't pop my defensive AA, it was still on cooldown. There we go, now I pop the defensive AA, get the carrier lit on fire again, and those dive bombers are certainly going to be taken care of. And yeah, just farming damage off of this carrier, doing what this thing can now do best at close ranges here, and there's no way this S6 is going to be able to get away. One of us is going to get the kill, and you can see here that the high explosive is doing pretty decent damage, but now I'm going to switch to the armor piercing here as he decides to go broadside. I just cracked 100,000 points of damage, so a very solid game. There we go, 6,000 on that high explosive, 8 out of 9 shells hit and penetrated, and this should be the last salvo needed, and there we go. I take care of my second kill of the game for that Tier 9 American aircraft carrier. As I'm getting ready to shoot, and I do at the gearing. What a cross drop right there by the Taiho. I'd like to shout out to you there, First Wuba. Very solid cross drop on that gearing to get the kill. He had a very good game in this one as well. And you can see here the entire time that I've been dealing with the S6, that rune has been cutting away from me and getting shots at me, but I've been able to mitigate a decent bit of the damage. But you just saw there that those shells that hit near the rear still did 3,600. Again, the rear section is certainly not protected very well. My AA is now going off on them fighters. Should be able to shoot some of them down here really quickly. And then the carrier comes in with a nice strafe and takes out a couple. So now I decided to use my second radar of the game to try and get vision on where the Yamato and the Baltimore are at. I knew that they were hiding behind the island in their spawn, but or in their base, I should say. But I wanted to figure out exactly where they're at so that I can plan here. Now this is something that is, well, kind of unique to American heavy cruisers. You can also do it in British light cruisers as well because you have the shell arcs. But sitting behind islands just like this and getting shots over while keeping yourself more or less protected from return fire is something that it's a skill that you really do need to master, or at the very least get good at when you're at the high tiers. Armor piercing salvo on the Baltimore. There we go. 10k with a Citadel and 3 penetrating strikes. But you're going to see here the power of American AP at this angle, shooting into the superstructure, and I still managed to do 3,500. Those shells biting in to that superstructure. Very good stuff right there. Continue to shoot the armor piercing. A little bit of bad RNG right there. Only 3 shells hit for 1,000. Then I load the high explosive. But as soon as this rune gets behind that island, unless there's aircraft spotting me, I'm going to be able to get undetected here as soon as that aircraft goes away, wherever it's at. So, once again, instead of heading around the island, I'm just going to sit here behind and get some shots at those guys. 12.6 kilometers away on the rune, 9,300 damage with another Citadel. Very good stuff here, and there we go. I do indeed go undetected, but those ships are still within range, and of course this is without the range modification. Pick up the Confederate on 152,000 points of damage, and I'm going to slowly back up, switch to the high explosive, and get some shots here at the Yamato. He's only 12 kilometers away, and while, yes, this is pretty long range for the Baltimore, nonetheless, I'm still able to get some solid and good shots over to that guy. And again, this is a skill you really do need to learn. Figure out the places on the maps to go where there's islands to be able to use to your benefit. And this is something, especially without running the range mod, which gets it to, I believe, over 18.2 kilometers. This is something that you do have to master. And I know I'm beating on a dead horse here. It seems like I say that every video, doesn't it? Maybe it's just because I talk a lot. But anyway, something you really do have to learn. More high explosive at the Yamato, and this is, it's so beautiful just to sit here and watch the shells go over. And there's nothing that they can do about it because I'm not detected. So it's just the Rune, the Yamato, and the Baltimore left. Trying to get a fire. This is right here where the paltry American fire chance, at least compared to its peers, is coming not in handy because, of course, I'm just not getting any fires here. It's been quite some time since I've had one. More shells going over the island. I do stray forward a little bit too much, but there we go. I managed to set a fire there on the Yamato, but I also strayed forward a little bit too far. My front turrets are hitting that town there, right on the side of the island, so now I'm going to back up yet again. I'm going to continue to shoot at that guy. It seems that he's been moving away at about about a quarter or half speed, so that's why I've still been able to shoot at this guy, and there we go. I get another fire. So his fate is now sealed. We'll see if anybody else decides to shoot at him. I'm going to get a couple more salvos at this guy, and then I'm going to move into the enemy's base. Now, really quickly here, I'm not one to really call someone out in chat or anything, but if you look, one of the Yamatos that just died not too long ago says, okay, so all the cruisers are hiding and not spotting. Well, first of all, there's a Prince Oygun and an Ibuki that are already over to the left in the cap. So those guys are actually spotting. And as for myself, why would I unnecessarily put myself in danger with the Yamato in play by going around the island? There's no reason for me to throw my ship away like that. So I'm not sure what that guy is thinking. And then, yep, there's the rage. Play like a coward. Okay, whatever. I really don't understand that. But you know what? People are going to act really stupid sometimes. Now looking for some shots here at the Rune. Switch to the armor piercing. I should be able to get some solid damage on this guy at whatever angle he's presenting to me. I do move into the cap with my other two friendly cruiser buddies, so we're going to be A-okay. And even when they're angled like that, which you see on screen, you can still get very copious amounts of damage done with the AP, so there's really no reason whatsoever to shoot the high explosive at any angle that the Rune's giving you. You're going to be able to do some sick damage on that. More shells flying in, not even a Citadel. Pick up the high caliber, 9,900 points of damage done. Very solid stuff right there. Torpedoes are now coming in from the Taiho. I get yet another broadside out. He manages to hit a couple, and then it appears his dive bombers are coming in, and right as my shells hit, he manages to secure the kill. What a game here in the Baltimore. Alrighty guys, taking a look now at the post-battle results. 683,000 credits received, and just shy of 7,000 total XP. This was not a first win of the day. I pick up Confederate and high caliber, 187,000 points of damage done with 258 shell hits that caused 10 fires and 2 citadels, 23 Essex planes swatted out of the sky, and 3 enemy ships sunk to the bottom of the sea. Taking a look at the team score, 2,994 base XP, almost one of those solid 3K games. In my book it is, even though I'm only 6 points shy of it. But either way, a very, very good performance in the Baltimore, and my best game in this ship to date. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please consider leaving a like, leaving a comment, or subscribing to the channel. All of it is very much appreciated. And with that being said, the Sneaky Snake here for Brothers in Arms World of Warships signing off. Guys and gals, have a fantastic day.